This is Ashwini Kumar Kota here from Excel Pro, and on behalf of my company, I welcome you all to today's webinar on corporate e-learning for millennials. It's a factor high. I'm going to share a few thoughts based on my experience with you on e-learning for millennials specifically, and during the course of the next half an hour to 40 minutes, we'll touch upon a few various aspects of how e-learning is taking shape in the current generation, what is turning up to be a hype, and what is turning up to be something pretty interesting as such. So thank you for joining me today, and let's get started. I'll take a quick minute to give you a brief introduction about my company, so we're on the same page. Excel Pro was founded in 2005. I started this company way back in 2005, quite a few years ago. Those days was called Synergia Consulting. Over the years, we did a lot of work on corporate training, content development, needs analysis, host of stuff. And eventually in 2011, we recasted Synergia as Excel Pro. That's when the company was formed. So formally, Excel Pro has been in business of e-learning since 2011. Our core competency over the years from 2011 has been corporate e-learning. We focus on all kinds of corporate e-learning. So if you're an organization which is small, big, large, MNC, Indian, it doesn't matter. We have a solution for you. Currently, we are based in Mumbai and Bangalore. We are our registered office in Mumbai, and we have our development center in Bangalore. And we deliver e-learning solutions to clients, which is organizations globally. So what exactly do we do under corporate e-learning? To define it as a turnkey solution will be an ideal definition here. For any organization looking at e-learning, we provide complete turnkey solutions. Like if you want to have a Moodle LMS setup, we can do it for you. We can develop games, gamification, modules, localization, you name it, we do it. But some of the common things or the hot things happening in the market these days are gamified e-learning solutions. So it could be gamified module or use of gamification for certain other purposes. E-learning games and assessments. We do mobile learning solutions. A lot of interactive and non-interactive animations. And of course, a wide area of courses for every learning context. It could be technical, non-technical, behavioral, host of things. Every company has got its own requirement. So we match your requirement. So that's exactly what we do. This is a very wonderful world to be in today's generation, especially when we talk about today's topic of millennials. The more we move into the years 2016, 17, 18, the more action is happening on e-learning. And it's an exciting space to be in, and it's wonderful to connect with you. So today we'll share more thoughts on some of these topics and much more. And over the year, we'll do a lot of work with you too, hopefully. So if you have missed out my last webinar, which was a couple of weeks ago on corporate e-learning trends on 2017, please log into YouTube. You'll find a video of that particular webinar where I've shared a few thoughts in terms of the 5 things I felt are really hot and happening in the e-learning, the corporate e-learning scene in India. And something, if you're not already doing it, it's high time to get your antenna up and probably check them out. So not right now, please be with me, that you can do it at leisure, at your convenience. So now let's get started with corporate e-learning for millennials, facts versus hype. Today's topic, well, the topic is quite generic. I'll try to keep it as focused as possible in context to our e-learning, especially in India and of course some of the adjoining countries from where you're joining in today. So what is a fact? So there are a lot of facts floating around. You Google up, you type e-learning fact, you type your name in fact, you type 10 things in fact, you will find some facts. Well, people are doing a lot of research and a lot of facts come in. So to get the perspective right and set the table straight, in today's context of this discussion, there are no facts. There are no facts in this context, only opinions based on surveys, research, and experience. So I'm not going to go and rattle out Mr. So-and-so did this survey and said so-and-so, so I'm going to be speaking about it. No, we are going to be very practical. We're going to focus upon the ground reality. What is that you face in the market today? What is it you need to do to get things rolling and get the results for your organization? So there are a lot of surveys, research, experience from which we're going to draw a lot of inspiration and information, but we are not going to verbatim quote the facts. But every opinion matters. We'll use the opinions in our context. Hype, again, when I use the word opinion, when you take an opinion and inject steroids into it, it starts running much faster. Not like the Russian team, of course, the Olympics team, but it runs much faster in its own space, and it starts looking like a fact till the bubble bursts, the wind out of sail. You can have a million other phrases, but it's all a couplet. So if you take an opinion and start believing it, and others start believing it, but nothing is happening, no action, everybody's talking about it, figuring out, trying it out, another hype comes in, something goes on, it's a hype. So today we're going to focus on understanding in context of millennials and e-learning, So what does it all think? It's all talk and no stuff, or is there some stuff which can be useful? So when we say that, we go to the next most important point. What is millennials? Sounds like a very sci-fi movie definition to me, but what is millennials? And millennial word was not coined yesterday or today. It was coined way before the millennium. Neil Strauss and William Hovey were the ones who we know are the ones who coined the word millennials in '87. But Google today says a person reaching young adulthood in the early 21st century is a millennial. So if you are somebody who was in that period born between 1981 and 2000, then you can consider yourself a millennial. Yes, you are a millennial. Those of you who missed the bus and you were born earlier or later, well, millennial is not like a start Jan 1st, 1981 to December 31st, 2007, 2000. It doesn't work like that. Millennial is a space. It's a space of a generation. This is the latest generation of human beings in the corporate workforce. Now, why am I doing this workshop on millennials, and why is it important for all of us to connect? Because anybody who was born between 81 to 2000 and he is employable, he or she is employable, is employed. If they're employed, they are in our organization. So this is the latest generation of people who are working in organizations. People who are born after 2001 would be around 16, 17 years of age. They're still enjoying a good time. It will be a couple of years before they start joining the workforce, and I won't say worry about them. We'll look at them because there are words like snowflake generation, a lot of action coming for the next generation soon. But right now, the crux is the latest employable workforce is the millennials. So what's so special about millennials? So we have had generations come, generations go. So what's so special? So when we talk of millennials and we define a generation, it will be very, very inappropriate to not understand a generation and jump directly to millennials. So I'll take a pause here, look at what are these recent generations we're talking about and how are millennials significantly different from the other generations which recently entered the workforce. Whenever we talk of generation, commonly accepted period for a generation is 2 decades. No, there is no scientific specific legal terminology day 1 to day n. It's a space. It's a space in which people say, okay, around 20 years, one generation changes. On the biological clock, okay, 20 years is a time within which father, son, father start happening, or father, daughter, mother, daughter, the 2 generations keep coming in. So in this case, around 20 years is a period when a generation changes. How do you identify a generation and what's the difference coming in? People observe patterns in parenting styles. It's very important because the parenting styles of our grandparents is very different than our parents, is different than us. When our children become parents, their parenting style is going to be different because the world around changes. Reactions to earlier generations still present. When it's still present, they're alive. So if I'm alive today, there are at least 2 generations before me, most of whom are alive. So my reactions towards them can be defined a particular way. And major social events during the period. So during my period, so today millennials are there, so something's happening. So there was a generation which was like 2 generations past. Our grandfather's generation, they saw the World War. Our parents' generation were born into independent India, and we were born into, I don't know, something unique, I'm sure. And our millennials are born into something else. So we are talking about 20 to 20 years of time passing by. And recent generations, if you just take a look at who are the current past and the recent past, so we have this baby boomers, Gen X, and millennials. I'm just taking a snapshot here. I'm not going to go deep. We're not going to discuss generations in this discussion. But what was characteristic from the work point of view, baby boomers in the 46 to 64 category, rather the years, had high work ethics and very respectful. That was what was the general definition. Gen X was tech curious, moderate work ethics. Well, I think I fall this category. So those of us who fall here are having tech curious. Remember the day a computer came into the lab or came to your house, you clean it up, put a cloth on it, and you've seen air conditioning rooms only for computers called a computer lab. Well, it's passé now, but we've seen those days. We are all tech curious. And then the millennials came in who were born into technology. So by the time the first millennial was born in 81, technology had already evolved. And by the time the person started walking or talking, the person had technology around him or her. And those who are born now, I won't be surprised if a newborn starts operating a cell phone tomorrow. It's possible. So the millennials were into higher technology, music, and pop culture. So these are 3 recent generations we have had, which we're considering today. So on this note, I'll take a little pause here to understand from you as to what is our audience looking like today. I'm going to do a small poll on which generation do you belong to. I'm launching the poll right now. Okay, the poll is on. On your screen, you can see which generation do you belong to. There's baby boomers, there's Gen X, and there's millennials. I'm sure we have a wide audience today, and all of you are from different walks of life, age groups, etc. Take a minute in case you have forgotten the, forgotten the date of birth. Check up your ID cards or passports. You'll find out your date of birth over there. All right, most of you voted. I'll take another 10 seconds. Get going, last few seconds. And if you have not figured out till now which generation you belong to, I think there's some other problem out there. I hope you're not into it. Great. So I'll close the poll now. And I'm going to share the results with you. All right. As you can see, we got a wonderful audience. So it's almost close to 50-50, something like the American election, where we got 51% Gen X and 46% millennials. So while I'm talking to the Gen X about millennials, I'm talking to the millennials about the millennials. So wonderful. So I think we have a great audience. Interestingly, I don't have any baby boomers. I think all the elderly crowd is busy in some other activities, and maybe they're not so tech savvy today. Maybe we have them at our videos later on. I'll hide this poll, and my screen should be back in action right now. All right, great. All right. So a good mix. So now we know what generations are and who millennials are. We'll proceed further from here to the next screen. When we talk of millennials, so there should be something common about the millennials, something very unique or specific, something which is of interest to us. So commonly when people talk of millennials, what do they talk about the common habits of millennials? First, the commonly known, I would not say reality or a hype or a fact, but commonly observed behavior is they live, eat, sleep with a cell phone. Not literally sleep with a cell phone, but sleep with a cell phone next to them. So when you have a live, eat, sleep with a cell phone becomes a very important part of their lives. Live on social sites. I know millennials who are so active on social sites, if they don't see a like, share, comment, they go crazy probably. Everything needs to be quick and now. It has to be now. Give it to me right now. Talk to me right now. Tell me right now. It's now or never. It's like consume immediately. These are opinions and observation. I'm not saying that's the way things are. That's the way things seem to be. Well, most habits of millennials are common youth habits, turbocharged with technology. This is what I am saying. Because when you observe a behavior, we start stereotyping people. Okay, these people do it this way. They live, eat, sleep on a cell phone. They're active on social sites. Everything needs to be quick and now. Well, which teenager does not fall in this category? But if you see the millennials, they're passing through a phase and getting employable right now. So have you seen a 40, 45-year-old millennial as yet? No, we haven't. So when today's millennial reaches an age of 45 or 50, etc., how is the person going to behave? Some people say millennials are very, very childish. Obviously, they're children, they're teenagers, they're bound to be childish teenagers in their age. When they become your age, we'll get to know how they are. This is a field where we don't have research subject to the extent that everybody knows what is happening. It's an evolving field. As the people evolve, we get to know how they behave. But one thing is very important. The habits are of general generations as like teenagers, youth, adults, etc. but turbocharged with technology. So technology changes the way we behave and do things. That is very important here. So when they depend on technology, they become the digital natives. Why are they called digital natives? Well, if I'm born in India, I'm a native of India. They are born in the digital space, so they're digital natives. All of us who are in the 40-ish category or the 50-ish category who are in the Gen X, some of us, I don't know which part of the scale we are on, but some of us did not, or were not born in the digital era. We were born in some other era and we have acquired digital knowledge. We have understood what's a computer, started typing on a mobile, and we keep on getting acquainted with new things. But this generation was born in the digital space. Let's see clarity on what to learn and why, because born in a world of free communication driven by technology. The technological boom did not happen just as technology, because technology was enabling communication. So technology plus communication working in tandem with the human behavior is what we're talking about in the millennial space. And that's why they have a clear opinion, take a stand. Yes, even in the previous generation, they had clear opinions, they took stands. But the fact is, the stand is more obvious right now because of the kind of communication we have, the kind of channels we have, the kind of digital space we are in. Highly collaborative, community fraternity oriented. Communities have existed even before digital, but the digital communication makes a community behave and bond faster, better, and that's why it becomes so obvious. So these traits start showing up in the millennial space. They expect immediate feedback for every action. Now, this is not totally about learning. If you see a millennial in action, they'll click a photograph, put on the Facebook, and they expect about 20 likes in the next 10 seconds. Expecting action. Why? Because that's the pace on which the world is operating, and that's the only pace they know. They don't know the old Stone Age pace where a memo was actually dictated. Somebody took a shorthand, they typed it out with carbon papers with 4 different copies, and was sent across to 4 different people in envelopes with postage stamps stuck on them with glue. Well, we've been there, but some of them have not. That has to be respected here. Not accustomed to negative feedback. This is something I keep hearing quite often, that the current generation or the millennials don't take negative feedback so easily. Obviously, short attention span. Now, this is another thing. Whenever you look at the L&D department, you talk of millennials, I've seen many organizations where people say, look, my millennials are very low attention span. Give me small modules, small nuggets, small games. The small word is very common. I said, this is nothing new. Okay, because technology has come in, we are talking in another language, but the attention span of the youngsters has always been quite less in general. People have been very active, high energy, restless. So the obvious word is attention span has always been obvious. With technology, it has become more obvious. So the human race has not mutated. So we're all safe, nothing has gone wrong. The gene pool is fine, everyone is okay. It is just that our behavior is coming to the fore and becoming more obviously visible because of technology. The millennials are wired 24/7. So yes, they live on technology, so 24/7 they're wired. Sorry. Yeah. So what happens now? What was like office hours, home hours, my time, chai time, dinner time has shifted completely. It's all digital time. So somebody responds to an SMS early in the morning, replies to a mail in the night, likes somebody on Facebook in the middle of the night, or can do anything anytime as long as they're digitally connected. So wired 24/7. So in today's webinar, the prime focus I'm bringing you to is millennials are not from space. Millennials are our next generation, continuation of the past generation, but the digital evolution and the presence of communication, seamless communication, has made the behavior more obvious and has given us the opportunity to explore ways to strengthen our learning technologies, learning pedagogies, and host of other things. Now, that's a lot of talking from my end. Time for a quick knock. I'm sure all of you are awake as of now. So I have a question to ask you. Some of you said you're millennials, some of you said you're not millennials. Those of you millennials, obviously, I believe you're the real millennials and you're living it up the way the millennials are. But for those of you who are not millennials, do you stand a chance? Are you as digital as a millennial? Let's take a quick check at it. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, one after the other. You don't have to type anything on the computer. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. We are non-millennials. So like the non-millennials, please take out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and start jotting down a few numbers, the way we do it. So when I ask a question, if you feel you're there, you're the right one, please give yourself 2 points. You will know there's not me, I don't do it. Give yourself a nice big 0. We'll add them up and we'll see how it goes. All set? Great. Do you use email for actual communication? Actual communication. Every one of us uses email for official communication where we have no choice because I have to send memos, reply to something, see webinar notifications on email. So I do that. But do you use email generally for your personal communications to you, and use it as a primary mode of communication and are comfortable with it? Do you use email? If yes, 2 points for you. If no, not there, I use it only when I'm forced to do it, then a 0. Some of you may be surprised. I have clients who actually print out their emails. They don't print out, their secretaries print out their emails, put them in a folder and put them on the desk, and they write their comments on with a pen on the paper, and this goes back to the secretary and she types it back into the mail, and that's the mails are sent. This is it, the word is still there. Second question, have you contributed to online discussions of any kind, something you believe in, something you're passionate about, official or unofficial? Have you contributed to online discussions? If yes, 2, if no, 0. Once upon a time, long ago, I wrote one line, then give a 0 for yourself, because when I say have you contributed, I mean real contribution, I mean in there. Do you have a blog and follow blogs on certain topics passionately by posting comments of value? If you see a blog or LinkedIn, sometimes it gets onto my nerves because people write anything which is like meaningless. If you filter it out, if you have a filter for such things, I don't know how much trash will be pulled out of it, because many comments are totally useless, worthless. I have to say something, so I have to say. It's like a dog feels I have to bark, so I'll bark. That's totally worthless. Let's be humans. Because if you're adding value to the conversation, then you are there. You're adding value. You're part of the fraternity. So if you added value in some way, 2 as 0. Do you look at YouTube, LinkedIn, or similar sites for information? When you need information, where do you go? Do you look up one of the sites and get the information and get going? Or do you ask your friend and ask him whatever you want and the friend gets you information, or somebody else gets it for you? If you are visiting some sites, maybe not just these two, any sites, you're in. Have you visited Second Life or a similar world? Well, those of you who don't know Second Life, please don't even bother for now. Give yourself a 0, Second Life or similar lives. Second Life is a world out there online. So I don't mean the same website. I would mean something else, similar things. There's a world out there and you're experiencing it, having fun over there or learning something out there. Visited, 2 points. Not visited, don't know what it is, 0 points. That's all. These are only 5 questions I have for you today. Now what happens? Let's use our arithmetic logic. Add up all the points what you got and total them. It's not a huge figure because the max you can score is 10 points, 2 points each, 5 questions, 10 points. I presume by now you would have your numbers in front of you. So I'm going to give you the scale. If you scored 8 to 10, you're a digital native and be cool about it. Even if you're born before 81 and you've already scored some points like this, then cool, you're a cool guy, good. You scored 5 to 7, you're an immigrant like me. You're an immigrant into the digital world. We walked in, figuring out, we learned something, picked up something, but we'll do something about it. We'll learn. As we go, we'll settle it. If you're less than 5, well, my question is, are you on Mars? Because you seem to be totally digitally disconnected. You seem to be in a different space altogether. So you're personally grooved in. The reason I did this little quick check with you is you're personally grooved into technology-based communication learning before you start designing or rolling out e-learning interventions. Now comes the Googling. Why was I talking on the generation for so long? Because if my understanding of millennials is skewed, is based on general popular behavior, and I'm using that as a way of designing something, then maybe I'm the misfit. The generation is right. Have I tuned into generation is what is important. At this note, I'll take a quick poll once again, the way we did it earlier. So what's your score? I'm very curious to know because you have made your notes on paper. I can't see them. So I'm going to ask you a question. What is your score? I'll just launch the poll. Please take a minute to punch in the numbers. What have you scored? All right, all done. Great going. Wonderful. That's some interesting news here. Let me close the poll right now and I'm going to share the results with you. Great. 54% of us today are digital immigrants. 8% of us are digital natives, the rock stars, and 38% have just boarded the next spacecraft out of Mars into Earth. Welcome. So while we're at it, what we'll do today is we'll get going with the webinar, understand as immigrants what best we can do. As the new arrivals in this world, what can we do to strengthen ourselves to conduct and deliver e-learning programs for the millennial generation. So on that note, I'm going to hide this poll. We're done with it. Great. Great going. So now that we have clearly understood where we stand and what millennials are, time to go into the next part of our webinar today, and that is the gap in corporate e-learning. The gap. Now that we saw the gap, okay, that's where the digital natives are, this is where I am. Just 4 quick questions, just casual understanding. Okay, I need to pick up things, learn things, do something to be there. So unless and until I'm in sync with today's digital world, I may not be the right person to walk, talk, deliver, comment on corporate e-learning. So it's time to pull up our socks and get going with it. So while we're at it, what are the common gaps we face and what do we see? For that, I've actually pulled in a lot of sentences, a few sentences which I've heard at my client organizations as well as other organizations over a period of time, over a long period of time, and they're very interesting points. I'm sure some of you might find them familiar. Take a look at this. They don't complete the e-learning courses. This is a comment I find about the employees at large. The e-learning managers or the R&D managers feel we roll out wonderful courses for them, but the people don't complete the e-learning courses. Especially millennials, they are just too caught up in their own things. They don't pay attention. They don't complete the e-learning courses. They keep complaining that the courses are boring. The millennials complain that the courses are boring. Okay, I don't find it boring, but the millennials find it boring. This is a very common thing I hear from my clients. But at this juncture, I would like to point out something else. Boring is again a relative term. Some people in the past, of course, the great Umpuri passed away just about a few days ago, may his soul rest in peace. But some of the wonderful works of art or movies, what is made, art, Saransh, etc., are like masterpieces. Well, I'm calling them masterpieces, but I was the other day sitting with somebody else, a millennial, and he was like, how can you sit through the whole movie? I said, how can you? I can watch it 5 times. But again, that's where difference comes in. What is art for me is boring for him. Why? There are reasons for it beyond the scope of today's webinar, but that's how it works out. Now, when I design a course, keeping myself and my experience, knowledge, generation in mind, and I'm totally oblivious of the other person's current situation and oblivious of what I'm supposed to be knowing about in terms of technology and communication, I'll end up creating something I like. It's a masterpiece for me, but a boring piece for somebody else. This is something which I hear day in and day out. This is my business. I'm into the gamification of e-learning courses, modules, etc. So the common inquiry is what we get. I want to gamify our e-learning modules. I'll say, great, you're giving business. I'm very happy about it. But then the magic starts. Why? And how do you want to do it? And then the answers I get sometimes are really, really dangerously crazy or sometimes very enlightening, very powerful. I've heard like, okay, people are not paying attention. I'm not getting results. I want to add a game and gamify it. And that's when the ice breaks, or in my case, the heart breaks too, because that is not how gamification works. Wanting is one thing, but getting the facts right and having a channel to do it is something else altogether. I want to make WhatsApp videos with module. This I've heard quite often, and it works. This is not something that doesn't work, but WhatsApp videos of this module. Take a module and turn it into videos, 10, 20 videos, and push it to the mobile devices. Why? Because you heard somewhere that the millennials are always on mobile devices. So let me push something on WhatsApp every day so that they keep on learning. It doesn't work like that. It's right there on mobile devices. It's right, yes, you can deliver content on mobile devices, but the kind of content and the quality of content and its ability to deliver results, who will decide that? It's you. Competent? Are we competent to do it? Let's make ourselves competent to do it. Make the module be a lot of fun. Now, this is another interesting input what we get. I want the module to be fun. We did an e-learning course 3 years back. The course is very boring. Nobody wants to pick it up now. Can you make it more interesting and fun? That's okay. So if we add fun by adding bells and whistles to it, will it make it work? If you add fun to it by just adding some cartoon characters and some games and something, etc., it will not focus on the code. So why are we getting these kind of questions? Because the people who are asking us these questions are not completely connected to the digital generation, as we saw in the last few slides. Keep the module short, not more than 15 minutes. It's fine, module should be short, but if somebody gives you an hour's worth of content and say give it back to us in 15 minutes, we end up having to compromise the content. Now that's where another problem starts. If you want to keep a module short to 15 minutes, so it's of course important to keep it short, but How do you decide the pedagogy of how do you go about creating the module or the content or whatever it is to be of a 15-minute duration which delivers the results, makes it engaging for the learner, retention, recall, and in future application of some sort. Now here is where I pause for a second and take the word module. Module. If you're in the business of e-learning, development, delivery, deployment of any kind, it's high time you type the word module, rather take the word module and do Control Alt Delete. It's dead. Module is RIP these days. Why? Because the world has gone radial. Modules are linear. Today, multi-dimensional, multi-modal MOD modes, multimodal learning is the era where my learner is on a very highly wired 24/7 world. I can't create a module, start, end, close. That's when I'm killing the whole purpose. This is the whole world how it looks like. Hence, where does the gap start? It starts from us, not from the millennials. It starts from us. If you saw in my polls, most of us are digital immigrants. And what are we busy doing? We are creating e-learning interventions for digital natives. That's where the first Google strikes. So, if I'm an immigrant, I'm the person who walked into it. That's the person who was born into it. I'm an expert in my subject, but I am still pulling the ropes or learning the ropes of technology-based communication. So what am I supposed to do? I need to strengthen myself up very well on technology-based communication. So I'm an expert on the technology-based communication as well as the subject, and I've become fully competent to create and deliver the e-learning interventions for the millennials. There's a massive pedagogical shift from corporate training to e-learning. You might have come across your friends and colleagues who are and were corporate trainers who are suddenly creating e-learning modules. I know quite a few people who saw e-learning entering into the organization, went and picked up an Articulate Storyline software, or the company gave it to them. They picked up a course, Articulate, online, offline, etc., learned the tool, and the way you make a presentation, they're making Articulate modules and running them as e-learning. And then if I expect a millennial not to panic on it, well, it doesn't work out like that. So first of all, learn the ropes of communication, digital communication, then create whatever you want to create, and do not compromise on the pedagogy of e-learning. It's very different than that of corporate training. Third, which is of course something practical, many companies are not yet technology friendly. They're waking up. Many companies today are not as tech savvy as some of the other companies are. Today I'm running a program for Bangalore, so most of the world around me is tech savvy, but when I go to some of the cities, I say not as tech savvy as Bangalore is. Of course, some companies in Bangalore are still not tech savvy. So if you're there, you will go in the groove. So how much your tech savvy the company is, you can work with them and see that you're able to get the results. I mentioned this a little while ago, corporate trainers creating e-learning modules. What happens when they do that? Nothing wrong in it as long as they have built up their competency, but without or with limited experience of using learning technologies and limited understanding of millennial learning styles. That is where the trouble starts. So millennials are not somebody who landed from moon. These are people who are there, but I have to understand how technology world is changing, and I cannot use a handicap of my technology. I cover it up, put sand on it, and go and start creating e-learning solutions. So what happens then? It leads to something called as quick catch-up through the latest facts. So the number of people who are talking about gamification, number of people who are trying to implement gamification, and the number of people who are actually working on implementing gamification, is a huge difference out there. If talking is 90%, attempting to implement is probably 30%, 20%. Really there could be 1 or 2%. And the attempting ones are the more dangerous ones because they've gone out there, seen okay, gamification is game mechanics in non-game construct. They'll pick up some game from somewhere, put it in the module, and say I'm gamifying my e-learning. That kind of a solution, if you do it, is technically correct, practically useless, and it eventually never delivers results. And who's to blame? Gamification does not work. It's just a fad. That's what comes out eventually. That is the story of the hype. The mass always creates hype. The class never creates hype. So what do the mass do? They throw their weight around something because they want to talk about it. Then they throw it against it because they could not deliver results with it. So who takes the bullet? The word or the fad or the jargon or the subject takes the bullet. Eventually a new hype takes its place. Who's the loser? The learner. So, a caution today, we have a few more minutes of the webinar, so a couple of quick important points. Beware of the monkey sees, monkey does syndrome. We have evolved out of monkeys many millions of years ago, so we don't have to go back to them again. So when you do anything with digital space, just because somebody is trying to gamify, I also want to start gamification. Somebody is sending a WhatsApp video, I also want to send WhatsApp video. You should do it if you believe in it, have got the ability to do it, and you are focused on what results you're going to get out of it, and not just take a fad, create a hype, talk about it, walk about it, and jump to the next one. So if you have been with me till here, you realize that you understood about the generations, the millennials, and where's the gap coming in the corporate learning space between the millennials learning style, that's today's learning style in corporate space, and the creators of those solutions, how they need to adapt to the current situation. And if you're one of those or few of those who are already there, you say, look, I've got it, I'll do it. I'm fully committed to brushing up my knowledge, strengthening my skills, knowledge and skill to deliver good e-learning solutions for my millennial audience. Millennials, of course, are the focus today, but the immigrants are quickly getting to the space. An immigrant, after being in a space for some time, becomes a native, almost like a native. So there are many people, like today, if you see, I know people who are 60 plus, and they're so cool with Facebook, cool with LinkedIn, and so connected network. It's like amazing. I know a gentleman who passed out of engineering in the year 1968. When in Andhra Pradesh, there were hardly 5 engineering colleges. I think 3 or 5 colleges were there. He was not in touch with his friends and classmates for decades. The gentleman retired, came back home, started looking up for what's the web, what's the mobile. So today is highly wired up on a smartphone, and he's connecting back with all his friends he lost touch with, and is at par with what's happening in the US elections, in his friends' worlds, etc. etc. So what do I call him? He's an immigrant. He came from a previous generation, jumped over a generation, and is the coolest pal of the people in the current millennial generation. They walk shoulder to shoulder in the digital space. Are we walking? That's a point to ponder. So if you're there, few rules for designing e-learning for millennials. Plan the learning experience for high engagement in learning and application. To plan the learning experience, not just the learning content. How am I going to give the experience? If I'm thinking module, a PPT converted to module, gone. The data is gone. So today the experience is upon how does my learner experience things? How does my learner, what are the senses? The 5 senses God has given us. The 6th sense is the digital sense which man has created. So the 6th sense, how is the person using it, and how can I use that information to create learning experience? Think radial, not just linear modules. I've been harping it for quite some time now, so that by the time I come to this topic, you've already got it in your minds totally set in. Think radial. So when you're running a course, running a subject, it's not start to finish. It's how many ways can I provide the content. Okay, suppose tomorrow I'm doing a program on gamification. So I'll say, fine, I'll give you some subject matter reader. I'll give you some videos to look at. I'll give you a discussion forum to interact with each other. I'll give you some quick WhatsApp messages for you to be top of the mind. I'll put the competition leaderboard for you to engage. So I'm talking about I engage with you, you engage with yourself as a person, and your peers engage with you. The peers could be somebody who's part of the program or a larger part of a fraternity. Strategically involve multiple touch points, like I just mentioned, and very important, the good old feedback form to be filled with pen, paper, pencil at the end of the training program is gone. The era is gone. In the world of e-learning, you don't have to wait till the end of the training program. When everybody's rushing out their bags, please fill the feedback form, leave it at the desk. Then some executive, the poor guy who's usually a trainee, sits and punches all the data, and we have some statistics to throw up on the next review meeting. The data is gone. Today, it's real-time analytics. So while I'm running this webinar with you, I've got real-time analytics in front of me on my screen, which tells me how many of you are actually paying attention, how many of you have my screen on your screen, and how many of you are busy doing some other work, putting a headphone on and trying to do something else. That analytics are live in front of me. So what do? I change modulation, increase engagement. I can do whatever I need to do to ensure my audience is with me today. That is the power of the digital space. We are live. So whatever you're doing over there, I can't see you, you can't see me, but I can see what you're doing. I can work around, make changes in real time to ensure that I get you what you're here to get from me. Now that's the power of digital space, and that's the power of analytics in real time. And this is what we embed into our pedagogy. So what do? When I'm designing a model, not the model, designing an e-learning intervention, I need to see that how am I going to measure something in real time, how am I going to measure something in intermittent time, and I make course corrections as we go by. So by the time the journey is through, our person has learned well the way the person learns. A couple of more points. Always induce small group collaboration, wide audience communication. So what do I mean by this? It's a very, very important point. Whenever there's a group and a closed group, we need to engage the group together, what we call as a social engagement or collaborative engagement. It could be a discussion forum, it could be a chat session, it could usually prefer to be moderated as people can stray from the context, but it's important to have a peer-to-peer engagement. When I say wide audience communication, I would mean energize the people to speak and connect with the fraternity at large. What digital has done, it has leveled the world, it's flattened the world. Sitting here today, I may be taking up a course and my course mates can be from say Ukraine, Croatia, USA, England, Maldives, anywhere. And we get to share rich experience and become wiser together at the same time in real time. I'll just take a minute to share a personal experience with you. A few years back, I took up a course on gamification from Coursera. That was when gamification was new, not many courses were in the market. Coursera was one which offered a nice course. I took it up. I was surprised to see my peers were from varied countries across the globe. And the kind of experiences we are talking about, where we are sharing what we do and how we use gamification, the kind of projects we have done was phenomenal. The course actually completed, it was not theoretical for me. The professor shared his thoughts and experiences, gave us the models, the peers gave me the experience. One more very important thing is keep the devices in mind while planning. Some of us don't use mobiles extensively. So there's a risk we run is we might be thinking of a computer screen while we're designing our e-learning interventions. No. Our learner may be seeing it on a computer, maybe seeing it on a mobile device, maybe seeing it on a tab, could be even the iWatch and one of those wearable devices tomorrow. You know, keep that in mind, otherwise the whole thing goes for 6. And most importantly, think like a millennial as far as possible. Whether you're an immigrant or you're just coming in from Mars, it doesn't matter. You're grooving in, you're coming into it. If you are not a millennial, at least you can be feeling and thinking like a millennial while you're designing these courses or interventions that help us to get the best results. So, when I talk of e-learning to this very heavy, extensive length, and I'm talking about do this, do that. So, what exactly are we talking about making a difference in the e-learning space? The two things which are very important when we talk of e-learning. One is asynchronous intervention, second is synchronous interventions. So asynchronous, which don't happen in real time, that's when the learner learns at his or her own time and space. And synchronous is something which happens live, like what I'm doing right now. You are with me, I'm with you live. But if someone missed this program, some of the participants have noticed have not been able to make it because of some meetings, etc. So what do? They will go and access this same program on the YouTube video because I'll be completing it. The video is recorded, I'll edit it and put it on YouTube maybe by tomorrow. So tomorrow evening they can go there and they can pause, play, do whatever they want and experience the entire video. You can also refresh yourself with it. While watching the video, if they've got a query, they'll chat with me. They'll mark an email to me, mark a message to me, and I'll respond to them. So we are again communicating asynchronously. So asynchronous and synchronous are the two sections under which core modules, online videos, games, PDF, PPT discussions, live online, video conferencing, live chats, host of things are available with us today to create a complete, wonderful e-learning, millennial quality e-learning experience for our learners. Are we doing it? If yes, great. If not, why not? The answer to why not is maybe our own handicaps are coming the way. So first thing what I recommend to you is if you're in the business of e-learning and if you're not doing this, start doing it. How do you start doing it? You be the student first, teacher next. If you want to create great online videos, go and watch online videos on subjects of interest to you. If you want to create games and simulations or if you want to get them created by experts like us and you want to bring them for your organization. So first go and play games and simulation and subjects of your interest. There are a host of stuff everywhere. Similarly, live online sessions. I'm really happy you joined me today because after such sessions, you'll realize even you can conduct them for your audience on topics of interest to them. Having said that, we complete the loop and come to the same point once again, fact or hype. So the kind of subject we're dealing with, it closes back again. And the way I was talking about, we understood the generation, we understood the millennial generation, how millennials learn, and how the way we design courses and interventions and modules, which makes a difference, mostly not so positively, to the stuff given to the millennials, and then we either blame the subject, blame the content, blame the mode, or blame the millennials. But probably it's us to blame. Why? Because we are probably immigrants who walked in and who are not sharpening our knives hard enough. So core crux of today's session is practice what you preach. So if you feel you want to be there in the e-learning space for millennials, start behaving like the millennials, start learning like the millennials. The phobia, inertia will go away after a few experiences. And then you are like one of the cool dudes on the market who's doing good stuff. So I've got some questions for you, fact or hype. The first one is gamification. I've been talking quite a bit about it because that's what we do extensively, and I think most of you would be doing gamification in some form or the other. So I would like to hear an opinion from you, and here is a poll launched. Is gamification of e-learning a hype? I need an opinion from you. Facts, again, I told you what facts are. I mean, in the beginning, it's about clarified my opinion and facts. So I'm looking at opinions, and opinions could be based on anything. What are your thoughts? Opinion need not be researched, it's top of the mind. So whatever you feel, just punch it in. I think most of you voted already. Great. So I'm closing the poll. And I'm sharing the screen. Interesting. 38% of you feel gamification is a hype, 15% feel gamification is not a hype, and 17% of you feel I don't know. Now, this is where we begin the journey because these figures could keep on changing based on the kind of audience I'm talking to. So if you believe it's a hype, great, but I want you to be very clear as to why it's a hype, why it's not working, etc., etc. Study it completely. After you feel it doesn't work and it's not making sense for you, drop it, leave it aside. If you feel it will work, I'm more concerned about the 50% who say it is not a hype. If you feel it is not a hype, then I'm 100% sure you are intending to do something about it. Why I'm saying intending, you may or may not do something. You may just feel, okay, it's not a hype, it works, but my company does not give the budget, I don't have time, you got a billion reasons for it, you do nothing about it. That's also okay. But what if you're one of those who has got the opportunity to do something about gamification and you end up adding a game in a past module, packaging it and giving it to the audience saying, look, I've gamified an e-learning module for you. Then we are in danger. So to avoid that, I'll just take a minute, just only a minute to give you a quick facts about gamification. First, gamification and game are not the same. And in case you not participated in my past webinars last year, I think I did about 3 or 4 webinars on gamification of various types and gamified induction, gamified modules, host of things. You can always go up to our YouTube channel and check out the videos and it give a lot of clarity on how gamification of e-learning works, especially in the Indian context, and how you can create your own gamified solutions. The word proper is most important here. Please pay attention to it. I'm not saying advantages of gamification, advantages of proper gamification. If you do it properly and do not hit shortcuts and don't do gamification for your KRAs or just to tick mark on the book saying, look, in my company gamification is there, you really want to make a difference. What you get out of it is what you enjoy doing, you learn faster and better. That's the premise on which gamification works because you're playing. Peer work, mainly collaboration, competition comes out, very hands-on, better attention application, and you get to get really, really good results out of it on certain topics. Not every topic or content can be gamified. At the end of the day, your learners get a sense of motivation and achievement. Sorry, turn the screen. Next, Second thing I'm talking about is microlearning. On microlearning too, I've created a lot of content last year. You can find it in my webinars, the past webinars. But for today, I'm going to ask you microlearning, which is basically small. Micro is small. It doesn't mean small learning, small tools and objects for learning, small games, small animations, small clips kind of a thing. They comprise of microlearning. Another poll I'm going to put up immediately just to see your opinion on microlearning. Question is same. Is microlearning a hype? It doesn't matter whether you have used it or not. I just need your opinion, because sometimes you form opinions on something which you have used or not. Like suppose if I ask you, is Arvind Kejriwal a great CM of Delhi? Somebody sitting in Bangalore and Bombay also has an opinion. But you've never been to Delhi, never experienced Arvind, but we form opinions based on other parameters. So you can have an opinion. All right, most of you voted. I'm expecting a couple of more votes. Great, almost done. And those of you who have not voted, I think I just need you to check up microlearning itself. The word might be new to you. If that's the case, Google up. A lot of action happening on the front. The results are pretty interesting here because I'll just share my screen. Take a look. All right. 64% of you say it's not a hype. That means I presume you're doing something about it. I wish you all the best, because this is something which talks about quick, easy implementation. But be very careful. Doing something for sake of doing won't get you there. If required, go through the webinar once again, look at the points I've discussed, and you can get wonderful results. And during your journey of implementing gamification or microlearning, if you need our help, always feel free to reach out to us, because this is something which we do day in and out, and we can be more than happy to connect with you. That was the second thing. Now, I'm closing my poll. I've closed my poll. Yes, it's done. Going ahead. As definition goes, relatively small learning units and short-term learning activities, usually animations and games, not restricted to these two, but these are the most common things which happen. Common advantages are very easy retention, fast recall, because the element of learning is very small. At one point of time, you only get one dose, one thing, which something like an advertisement. If you see an ad running over half an hour, you know what will happen. But an ad of exactly 10 seconds can get you the right bang on recall and of course the purchase. Consistency of engagement, because you can have an engagement spread over time. I'm doing something today, tomorrow, day after. I can use different videos, different games to spread over time. Better data for live course corrections. I get to get data for analytics. And my millennial generation lives, breathes, sleeps, eats, drinks, everything on the mobile device. And so if I'm using microlearning, my games and my animations are also sitting on mobile device and reaching out on mobile device. All I have to do is shake hands with my learner and be in sync with his or her style of engagement with the device, and we have a good, wonderful association running. Third thing is personalized learning. I'm not going to take a poll on it, because personalized learning, like the word itself, is completely unique to what we create. It is all about my device, my time, my place, my pace, my learning capability, because personalization of e-learning is possible because every learner is unique in his or her own way. Like suppose you run a module, you see somebody scores 20, somebody scores 80, somebody scores 70%, but what next? You give a certificate, take mark on LMS, go home and say, okay, I've done my job. Today, that's not the case. With the millennial generation, they're not giving up. So what we need to do, if you score 20%, I have to have a mechanism of collaboration, competition, peers, most of the things I discussed earlier, as to how I can bring that person up. You're already the coolest dude, you're already there, landed, and you're like rock star. How can we get you something more challenging to sharpen your capabilities? So we have a mechanism of a grading approach where I've got a solution for everybody, irrespective of their current learning capability or delivering ability. Superstars, average learners, laggards, something for everyone. Then you are truly there. Then you are in sync with the millennial generation. Social learning, whatever you do, if you're talking about millennials, if you're not making it social, Even if you call you as a millennial, you're still not in on Mars, probably in Jupiter or Venus, or not Venus, sorry, Jupiter or Saturn or Pluto somewhere. Because social is the in thing. Social learning is the way we all have learned. If you just take a scrapbook and write everything you've learned in life, a bicycle, cooking, fashion sense, your hairstyles. Well, did somebody do an e-learning for you? Did a faculty teach you how to learn a bike? No. Every good thing in life which you've enjoyed, it's always been learned socially. It's been the friends, peers, faculty, colleagues, other people around you with whom you have shared, cared, and made a difference. And today it's just digital. Millennial is all about everything what we've done digitally. Blogs, WhatsApp groups, discussion forums, LinkedIn groups, host of stuff. So you can go social anywhere, but the pedagogy is important. How are you planning it? Randomly jumping onto WhatsApp group. I've seen companies after companies creating WhatsApp group for training programs. Induction, program over, from the WhatsApp group, all of you join it, everybody next day, hello, 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 big, share photos, third day it's all dead. Well, in that case, we just did something on WhatsApp group, but was nowhere linked to e-learning. Facebook, Google Hangouts, I'm just putting some names here, and I'm sure more technologies will come in the days to come. Just 2 more minutes before we close, so I'll just complete this topic here. Advantage social, it ensures voluntary collaboration, experiences, opinion sharing, you name it, we do it. Helps in keeping context practical and live beyond the module. So wherever you feel your module is missing out, keeping it social helps you get the results. But randomly putting something on Facebook or LinkedIn, or I'll just share something more with you, gamification. I have a client who said, look, I want this thing done. We did a wonderful gamified module. It says at the end, the final scores, I want them posted onto the Facebook. Create an API, with an API, send the scores to the Facebook. I said, then what happens? He had no answer for it. He believed on Facebook everything is shared, so my scores have to be shared on Facebook. Okay, my scores go on Facebook, but the motivating mechanism as to how does this thing give a person a chance to flaunt something or share something or do something, the technology-based social element was missing. Just posting something somewhere doesn't get you what you want. And for that, you have to gain expertise in creating effective learning communications through technology. A very important point. Whenever you do something social, don't forget to moderate it. If you create a group and forget about it, if you create a page and forget about it, people will either forget about it or fight over it. And today is the era of trolling. And we don't want trolling happening in our world. It's a total nuisance, and that's something to avoid it. And by the way, since we're talking on millennial generation, any idea which is the next generation which we talked about, post-millennials? If you have the word in your mind, please punch it in your text box. It's not a part of our session today. There's another generation which is being talked about as a generation which is next to millennials, or the in generation right now. There's no research happening, a jargon has been floated, and people are talking about it. No? Okay. Google the word snowflake. Today we're talking about a generation which is also called a snowflake generation. And why they are called snowflake generation? Because a certain genre of people today are seen as highly reactive, intolerant. Something goes, they have to speak, talk, walk, jump everywhere. So the trolling is coming from an intolerant generation of people who are seen as snowflakes. Nothing to worry about right now. If snowflakes become a real generation, after a few years, probably I'll build a program on that day, e-learning for snowflake generation, but today we'll stick to millennials. Last one is the MOOCs. MOOCs, I'm sure some of you might have used MOOCs. MOOCs are nothing but massive open online courses. I've done that for Coursera, I mentioned to you some time ago. Live online sessions. Who use traditional course materials, use film lectures. They give you reading and problem sets, exercises, and a lot of interactive forum and discussions. For those of you who are stepping in from the Generation X and the previous generations into millennials, I will strongly recommend, if you are wondering how to put the first step, like the way we touch water in the sea, I would recommend just go ahead and pick up a MOOC. MOOCs are free in most cases on any topic of interest and experience it. That will be your initiation into the world of digital learning and the world of the way how millennials learn. And you can experience live where there are lectures, the way lectures, There are also forums, and you can seamlessly enter the world of technology-based learning. After a couple of experiences, you'll start getting the ropes. And remember the way you learn to ride a bike or drive a car. The first few weeks were very tough, but today you might be a superstar on the roads. That's how this thing works too. So in summary, we've understood today, when we talk of facts and hypes, it's not the fact or the hype, it's the opinion you carry which matters. In your belief or opinion, if you feel something works, you need to first learn about it, be the expert on it, and then make it work. If you want to roll out something, I myself have not experienced it, but I'm trying to be the one who's delivering it. Big no, don't do that. So the generation today is not like it landed from moon or from some other planet. It's been there. They're continuation of the same people who were there earlier. But they are exposed to technology from an earlier age, and the facilities available to them in terms of technology-based communication have been there from the formative years. So when they were young and learning, they could capture fast. And some of us who have to jump on the same space after a certain age, our learning curve is very loud. So what do? We make a little effort, show resistance. That's the only difference. So whether it's a millennial or a non-millennial, technology-based learning is the in thing and the next thing. Sooner we get onto it, the better. So first start off as a learner and then continue as somebody who is developing or delivering it, and you will rock in it and have a great time. So this is what brings me to the end of my webinar today. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I look forward to seeing you in my next webinar soon. Till then, have a great time. Thank you.